This is the Tyler Street where Sandy Duncan grew up. It's still a working-class, all-American kind of neighborhood where children play, walk to school together, and dream of growing up to be in movies, on television, and on the Broadway stage.
What was in my mind was to go to New York and be a Broadway dancer, which I did the first year I went to New York.
Although it doesn't seem possible to hometown fans, it's been 22 years since Sandy left for the bright lights of Broadway.
So I went to New York when I was 19 years old, fully equipped to succeed. I mean, that's just what you do. You grow up and you go and you do what you set out to do. And that was very much nurtured here by the teachers and certainly my parents, that anything you make up your mind you can do, you can do.
Success was almost immediate, and it was constant. TV commercials, Broadway musicals, a TV series, Funny Face, and numerous Tony and Emmy nominations to mark those successes. But less than 5 years into her career, Sandy lost the sight in her left eye because of a benign tumor.
You never really quite get it down. I'll still, if somebody hands me something, I'll reach for the piece of paper just 2 inches short of it or beyond it. So you constantly are compensating for it. That's the easiest part of the adjustment, though. I get letters from people all the time who've lost vision, and at first it just seems like you're just never going to get it. But the hardest thing to overcome, I think, is the self-consciousness, you know, of just feeling that you have a handicap. That's the hardest one to overcome, and just forgetting about it.
In spite of her vision problem, Sandy Duncan went on to even greater success in movies, television, and on Broadway. For years, the driving force in everything Sandy did was her career. Now all that's changed, and the reasons for that change are the 3 men in her life. Sandy is a late-in-life parent. At 41, it's 4-year-old Jeff and 2.5-year-old Mikey that takes center stage, along with husband, dancer Don Correlli.
Well, do you think you've matured a lot the last few years, though?
I think kids force you to. You just don't have time for a lot of junk. You know, you don't have time to put up with people that are phony. You don't have time to put up with a lot of... You just cut out the dead wood in your life. There's not enough energy anymore.
Although Sandy and Don met in 1971, it wasn't until 5 years later that their relationship blossomed during the television taping of the Richard Rogers special, for which they were both nominated for Emmys.
We have a very good relationship. It's taken me the 3rd time to get that job. I will say that. But this one is really quite wonderful because we do kind of come from the same background. I think that's important.
Your 2 boys have practically lived backstage since they were born. How do you give them the same type of roots that you've already said were so important in your life?
We come here and visit a lot. My parents come to visit us a lot. And also, it's just my point of view and my frame of reference is that you remember where you're from, you remember your roots, and you don't think you're any big deal. Anytime I start thinking I'm a big deal, my dad and mother let me know, you know. We're working class people, which is how I grew up and what I am, certainly. And that you have to work very hard for what you get, and you have to appreciate it. And you have to share it with other people.
There are times when Sandy does worry about her sons not getting the nurturing she felt this area and its people gave to her as she was growing up. Born in Henderson because that was the nearest hospital to her New London home, the Duncans moved to Tyler when Sandy was 7. She spent a happy, if typical, childhood filled with dance recitals, school, family, and friends. Lon Morris College in Jacksonville, the Dallas Summer Musicals gave her the chance to try out her wings, or we should say dancing feet, on stage.
Would you ever come back here to live, even though I know the roots are here and it's always home?
Oh, it's always in the back of my mind. When things aren't going the way I want them, I go, oh, well, to hell with it. I'm just going to go home and live in Tyler and teach. You know, it's always there. That escape is always there, and it's nice to have that, to feel like you can always go home and they'll take me back there. You know, it's a lovely thing to have. I worry about our kids because having been in Manhattan's not so gracious about taking you back. It's a hard city to live in, and their formative years have been spent in New York as much as they love it, and they get out on the street and speak to the doorman, and they have their little, you know, route that they go to school and to different stores. I still kind of regret that they don't have a slower, simpler, smaller nucleus of people and a lifestyle. Maybe in California they will. I think they're going to like it out there.
The Correllis have just completed their move from New York to California, where NBC's developing a television series for Sandy. It's a time in her life when Sandy Duncan, actress, wife, mother, enjoys looking back as well as forward.
Most people don't ever get a sense of success, or they never experience gratification of a goal because they don't recognize they've achieved it. Because you keep, as I said, putting things out there in front of you. Every now and then I have to stop and go, Sandy, you did it. Now, anything else you do is just gravy.
Coming up,